Hello, and welcome to the Earthly Roots podcast,
where we chat all things gardening, homesteading, and connecting to nature.
We're your hosts, Diane and Robyn.
The Earthly Roots podcast acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today.
Welcome back to the Earthly Roots podcast. My name is Diane.
And my name is Robyn.
And we are your co-hosts for today's episode or any other that you've been listening to. And we're really excited to chat through today what we've been up to in our gardens, what we're planting, all the things we've been up to, feeling a little bit overwhelmed from not doing too much on my end and probably overwhelmed from doing too much on your end.
Yeah, probably.
But before we get into today's podcast episode, we just wanted to chat about the intro song that you would have heard coming into the episode.
Yeah. So Diane's partner, Samson, part of Diane and Samson, was the one that wrote it and recorded it, which is really cool. And it's such a great song. And I just wanted to put that out there to say thank you to Samson for that song, because it kind of, sets the tone of the podcast and
gives us some vibes to listen to. Yeah. I guess we don't take enough time to acknowledge Sam for what he did, but it really does set the vibe for the podcast. And we might have to get him to record a version 2 of the song, because he's been doing a lot of learning and practicing since, adding some drums into the house.
Should be fun for you.
So thank you, Sam.
Yeah, it was awesome. So if you ever need like podcasting music or background music, you know where to find it.
Maybe stay tuned. There could be more available soon.
Exactly.
So let's jump right into today's episode. As I mentioned, I feel like I haven't really done too much at my house. It's been slow going in the garden and on the homestead, but I know you've been up to lots. So what's been happening in your garden and on your flower farm since we last chatted?
Well, I don't think you give yourself enough credit though. I think you have been busy.
I've been sitting on the couch.
But you also have a full-time job. Part-time. You still do work. And I find coming into these cooler months, like our bodies do naturally want to slow down. And when we're not able to, like when we can't, stop work or do things like that, then we suffer in other parts of our lives. And often like the garden is the first thing to go. Like it's not a priority, honestly.
But at the same time, things are coming to an end in the garden. And I think... And I know that they're coming to an end and it's normal, but still seeing that can be really disheartening. Like it makes you not want to go out there. But it's not about me, it's about you. What are you doing?
It's about us. I mean, I have been busy, but also I have been slowing down a little bit in terms of, it's not even my choice whether to slow down. It's the plant's choice. Like they are slowing down, and that brings with it other jobs that I don't necessarily want to do, but if I don't do those jobs, it puts me behind.
What kinds of jobs?
So right now, like the flowers, and for those of you who don't know, we kind of want to just like do a little bit of recap every time we talk, because we know that it might be your first episode listening. So if we do repeat ourselves, welcome. If we do repeat ourselves, that's just for new people as well. So I do run a small scale flower farm in my backyard. So it's a micro cut flower farm where I sell seasonal cut flowers that are all spray free, chemical free. And it's been a big learning curve this year to really understand how to run that, not just for like the peak time, but for the whole year kind of thing.
Well, this is your first year. You say that it's been a learning curve this year, but really it's the first time you're getting to experience all of it.
Exactly. It feels like longer because it's been longer planning it and getting all the beds together rather than selling the flowers, which to me is like the easiest part of it, is picking the flowers and bunching them up. That's the easiest part. Yeah. The hardest part is right now, like managing that in between season, like the transition. And it's the same with veggies as well, where you just like, you get to the point where you're like, do I really want to pull that out because it's still producing food or flowers, but I need to make space for other things.
Yeah. And prioritize what you're going to be growing or dedicating more time to. Like as you said, because as your energy dwindles and the flowers or the vegetables start to die off in the garden, you only have so much energy, so much daylight to dedicate to your garden and the things in it. So it makes sense to only have the high yielding things, especially towards the end. So what are some of the jobs, or what were some of the first flowers that were like, okay, we're done?
So for me, like, I'm lucky that I can usually have flowers all year round, but they're not going to be amazing throughout the cooler months. They slow down a lot. And one of those is zinnias. So they've definitely seemed to just become a little bit more disease ridden. So they have things like powdery mildew, fungal diseases, just, black spots, just so many things wrong with them right now.
Yeah.
But the flowers still look really nice. I'm just not getting as much flowers as I was at the start of the season.
You were getting so many. They were
I was getting so
stunning.
many buckets, yeah. And they've really been a crop that has made me so much money from just $1 packet seeds, basically. Like, they're such a great crop to grow for first-year flower farmers because they grow so easily, they're fast growing, and you don't need to prep the soil a lot. So they're annuals, so they do die off. Because we went overseas and then got sick with COVID and everything, it was just really hard for me to get in that mindset of succession sowing. So I'm now suffering now because of things that I didn't do a few months ago.
But you were doing so much. Like,
yeah.
I mean, every time I came over, you were sowing things and you had flowers growing.
Yeah, I just didn't know how quickly or how, like, spaced they needed to be. So when I came back and I started seeing flowers, I was like, awesome, I'm going to sow some more now. But that was like a few months after I'd sown the first ones.
Yeah,
so I really needed to be doing more like fortnightly sowing, or pretty much every 2 weeks is a great way to just manage that and keep on top of it.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely looking forward to doing a podcast episode in the future where we talk through some of the mistakes that we've done in our gardens and on our homestead, and things that we've learnt from them. So we'll definitely dig deeper into that. And
because it's all about learning, and mistakes are just something that, like, it just comes with the territory of gardening. Like, you have to expect mistakes in the garden, and I'm not like upset about any of what's gone on in the garden. It's just literally like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but now that you do, you can be planting more. But the thing is that now the season is coming to an end, so you can do that with the next lot of flowers. I am curious, what are you planting at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm transitioning out of the zinnias. I'm doing like a trial crop of zinnias now, though. Like, I'm just trialing them in a space that I don't think gets heavy frost or anything, and just seeing how they go.
And seedlings or seeds?
So I raise all of my seedlings. So I plant them in trays. I plant seeds in just like they're like nursery trays, and then I propagate them into either their own separate pot, or I just plant them straight out. So I've planted some seedlings, and I'm transitioning out of zinnias as my primary crop, and all of the dahlias are coming to an end now. So it gets to that point where, again, I was saying they're kind of looking a little sad, and yes, you can still harvest them, or you can focus on letting the plant just go wild for a few weeks, and then you can save the seeds from them.
Oh, cool.
So I'm thinking about doing that instead. It's just tricky with all of this like intermittent rain that we're having to save seeds.
Do you have to like bag them up so that they don't cross-pollinate with each other?
So I'm not too worried about it. I'm fine with like a mix just of whatever. Some will cross-pollinate. A lot of heirloom varieties of flowers will be true to what they are, same with veggies. With zinnias, I'm assuming a lot of them are going to just be like weird and wonderful, which is perfectly fine. It's how you can create your own varieties. Like, it's literally how new varieties are made. It's just like, I don't know what the statistic is for zinnias. I think there's so many different types of genetics that can cross between them, versus dahlias, which also have so many genetics that can cross-pollinate. Specifically with dahlias, I'm going to be saving a few seeds, but more so just letting them die back so that I can take the tubers out of the ground, because that is then true to the flower.
Okay.
The seeds could be something completely different.
Like fruit trees.
Yeah.
Like if you plant the seed of an apple, it's not necessarily going to be the apple that you expect it to be.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's so cool. So it's really just like luck.
Yeah.
All these beautiful dahlias that you see around are just like pure luck of, well, it's not just luck. It's like people knowing how to breed dahlias, but it is a bit of luck. It's always a surprise. So
yeah. And for those that don't know, Robyn does have a YouTube channel all dedicated to her flower farm, her journey. She's shared so many amazing videos. I'm just going to plug you while we're here.
Thanks.
And I think we do also have another podcast episode that we did last year when you were first starting out your flower farm. I would love to revisit that and just hear how your confidence in yourself and your experience with the flower farm has changed from like that very initial beginning setting up stage to right now. I think it'd be cool to do another episode in the future. I'm just talking about all the future episodes today.
Oh, that's fine. Well, this is a good like chat of what we're doing, but yeah, other than that, it's just been sowing like snapdragons and stock and
beautiful,
all of those cool season crops, which I'm excited for.
Which you had a lot of those in your cottage garden, didn't you?
Yeah. So I tried a lot last year, just like randomly planting them around, and this year now is the first year that I'll grow them in like proper rows.
Fantastic. As far as my end goes, I'm mostly a vegetable farmer. I don't do it for anyone else other than myself, so I'm not really a farmer. I'm just a garden grower.
Exactly.
But yeah, for us, it's been mainly just cleaning up beds, putting wood chips onto them again, revitalizing the soil with a bit of fertilizer, especially because we had a lot of tomatoes, cucumbers, pumpkins, and corn growing, and all of those vegetables just love nitrogen.
Yeah, they're very hungry.
Yeah, so lots of beans and peas planted into all the beds and just resting as many as we can. We've actually been taking advantage of going into like Woolworths, and especially going at nighttime when everything's shutting down. No, we go into the store where there's people.
Okay.
And at the end of the night is when they're unpacking everything. Yeah. So they have trolleys just full of cardboard boxes. And if you go up to like the people and you're like, hey, can I take those boxes off your hands? They're like, what? You're going to make it easier for me to not have to throw these away? Of course you can have them. So we've been doing that to try mitigate all of the weeds that we have growing at the moment. You should have seen how many weeds were in my garden. It was like nothing but weeds.
Well, that's just what happens at the end of summer. The grass, particularly if you've got grass around your garden, it just finds a way in.
Which we do. And I mean, where we're growing our vegetable gardens used to all be grass before we had our pigs turn it. So I think even just the process of moving wood chips around or turning the soil sometimes brings up those grass seeds and they germinate, especially in summer. So yeah, that's been a lot of what we've been doing, and it's been cool. We've been enlisting some of our friends to come over and help us out. I mean, you've helped out in the garden as well. I've taken advantage of my friend Anne as well. I was like, come over, let's chat, let's catch up, and like let's just weed the garden because this is something I need to do. And I've been procrastinating it. So
there's something I'm not great at is letting people into my garden.
Yeah,
more so because like, I don't know, I don't want them to feel out of place or like if they do something wrong. Like, you know, with you, with the cosmos, you were worried that.
Yeah.
And
asking questions the whole time. Do this low, this high?
Yeah. I mean, it's stressful for the other person if it's not their garden and, you know. But yeah, giving them like manageable jobs is good. Yeah.
And we were both together, like just pulling it. Like it was pretty obvious that whole garden bed just needed to go. And she was good. She would still ask questions, but it just meant that we could, I don't know, get lost in our conversation the same way that if I got a film camera going, like I'm just chatting to myself the whole time. But it was nice to have someone else to bounce off, and we just got it done. Went really fast.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Oh, well, you were talking about YouTube before. I want to say that you do have a YouTube channel as well.
Oh, we're just plugging each other. I love it.
You know, but another thing that we do, we make YouTube videos and that takes up a lot of time. So I was going to ask, like, how are you managing YouTube at the moment with feeling like this, and, you know, like everything is kind of a little bit overwhelming. The garden is just transitioning. How are you feeling with YouTube as well?
That's a really interesting question because I feel like I'm I'm finding the YouTube side of things and filming, editing, and that part of things a lot easier than actually managing my garden at the moment. So even though I'm not necessarily feeling like I'm doing too much, when I start to sit down and then edit the videos of what I've filmed or what I've done, there is a lot going on. Like, I just think that it's so scattered, when in the past I would have like a whole day or several days dedicated to being nowhere else except my garden, or like preserving everything that's coming out of the garden, that now that that period of time is settling down and I'm only going out for like an hour or two, bringing Sam along or having a friend over, it feels like I'm not doing much because it's spread out. But realistically, if you bring it all together, it is, I guess, still the same amount of time as a whole day dedicated. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just in a really strange mood, I think, where I feel like I'm not doing anything because I'm just comparing myself to what it's been like in the past or what it was like at the start of summer. And I know it's autumn and it's a change of season and it's supposed to be slower, but yeah, my brain just hasn't kicked into that yet.
Yeah, it does take a bit of time to fully get into gear with, because your body naturally will like feel different around the cooler months, and you want to do different things, and it's probably not quite the time yet to be starting the fires and like having that to be excited
we had our
about.
First fire this
You
week,
did?
though. Yes.
Oh, that's fun.
It was not cold enough,
Oh,
though.
really?
So,
Oh, yeah.
so we ended up having the fire. So Sam started the fire, and I was so excited.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, I fell asleep
Oh, no.
because it was
that
way
warm.
too warm.
Yeah, wow.
So that didn't last long for me.
Oh, well, there'll
Worth
be
it.
some more soon.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope so. But speaking of autumn time, one thing that I know that I have been doing, and I'm sure you have as well because you mentioned it just a moment ago, is planting things into the garden. So we've officially made that transition from summer to autumn. It's definitely cooler. There's more rainy, well, not rainy days, but just misty
They're a bit
mornings.
drizzly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so with all that kind of weather, like you have plants that suffer from mildew, but then you also have other plants that really thrive in those conditions and are starting to like hibernate in the cold weather, ready to come up come springtime. So let's kind of chat through some of the things we've been planting the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
I think the last podcast episode we had, we went over all the things we were planning to plant.
Yeah, one of them we talked about what we're doing in the garden for autumn, like autumn garden tasks, and then what we're planting right now.
Yeah, so maybe we can talk about exactly what's been going into the ground, especially because I have a lot of flowers thanks to you. You've inspired me to buy so many flowers. I think I bought way too many. I went a little bit crazy.
It's easy to do that.
Yeah, and now I'm like, where do I put them all? Yeah. So I'm going to be donating them to you, I'm sure.
Oh, fine.
But I guess I want to know like exactly what you're planting. I think it's just natural as a gardener to want to sticky beak into someone else's garden and what's going in. And now that it's April, one of the things that's gone into my garden is garlic.
Yay.
Yes. Finally. My favorite thing to grow.
Yeah.
I think.
You grow really great garlic.
Oh.
Like you must have good soil for it.
Maybe, or it's the only thing that, because I'm not bothering it as often as all the other plants, it just has time to thrive. But I'm really excited for garlic because with garlic, we grow hard-necked garlic. And so with that, you get the, what is it called?
Garlic scapes?
Yes,
Yeah.
which makes
They're
the
delicious.
best pesto. I made a pesto from it and it was like game-changing how delicious it was. I'm mouth-watering just thinking about it
Yeah,
again.
it's so good. Yeah, well, I'm actually not planting garlic. And
You're not?
I know, shock horror.
Oh my God. Are you okay?
I'm going to rely on maybe you for the garlic.
Sure, that's fine.
You'll have enough. Look, I would love to. I would love to plant so many things, but I'm trying to focus on the flower farm. And I was getting to the point where I was just constantly feeling guilty about food and flowers and not having the space for both of them.
Yeah.
Which I could make more space, but
then you have to dedicate the time to looking after that.
Exactly.
And I mean, you're busy.
Yeah, well, I found with the food that I was growing, and don't get me wrong, like I love growing food. I will always grow fresh food in my garden. It's how I started gardening. It's how I fell in love with it. I will always do that. But I spoke in a YouTube video a while ago that I'm kind of changing the way I grow, which is really just focusing on a few things at once, but doing it really well. And that it seems so just like obvious, but I don't function like that. Like I get so excited and so many different types of seeds, and I just get like seed happy when I am playing with all of them and shopping, and then I end up planting them and they die.
Yeah.
And I know that's my personality to do that. Like I love trialing new varieties, but I'm really trying to just focus on a few things to plant. Things that I know, like I can go up to the kitchen right now and I know that I've got them in the fridge. Like I use them on a day-to-day basis. So I really want to try grow those things this year. Yeah.
What kinds of things are those?
So I know that I can grow broccoli really well here. We've got really great soil for broccoli. It doesn't mind a little bit more on the acidic side. So we have like slightly acidic soils and really great organic matter and clay. Broccoli and a lot of brassicas like clay soil. They like to be kind of like firmly set in the ground, I find. I think because they have a pretty big stalk when they grow, so they need that support in the ground. So broccoli, cabbages is another one.
That makes so much sense with the broccoli, because the first year that I ever grew broccoli, I put it into a bed after having corn and pumpkin in it, and so the soil was really compact from having those veggies, and the broccoli was the only thing out of all the seeds that I planted that actually thrived. So that's so interesting.
Yeah, I've heard when you plant it, if you do have more clay soils, you can just like tamp it down a little bit around the seedling, and it actually seems to like that. I don't know if that's like the truth or not, but I've just seen a few people do it.
From experience, that's what's worked.
Yeah. So I'll be growing a lot of that. I know broccoli and cabbage grow really well. And that's also what my Ulpa grew a lot of. So I'm growing in like his veggie garden area where he used to have a veggie garden.
So special.
Yeah. So it's nice to be able to do that. And I'm just like applying common sense with it. Like I know they grow well, so I'm going to grow them.
Yeah.
As well as I really want to try growing like a row or half a row of carrots.
Yeah.
Just because we eat so many. And I just love the taste of homegrown carrots. They're just something else.
There's nothing better, especially in stock as well. Like the flavor, the richness that it gives a stock is just incredible.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And you can use the greens as well if they don't have bugs and stuff on them. But
I don't love the flavor of them though. They're a bit like licoricey.
Yeah, you can use like a few in stock and stuff to flavor it. But yeah. So carrots, and then I'm also growing a lot of onions again. So we're still working on the onions from last year. So that was amazing that we had them stored pretty much. Like I planted them around this time last year.
Yep.
So that was really great. So we won't have onions for a little bit in between. But I found brown onions did way better for us. I think they...
Same with us.
Yeah.
The red onions hardly came up. I think I'm finding a few like stragglers that somehow survived. But
it's interesting
like
why they do that. Like I find a lot of the red varieties of veggies, sometimes the germination rate's a little less.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe perhaps in different climates they do better. So maybe just around the subtropical area or closer to a temperate spot, it just doesn't do as well.
Yeah. And that's about it. Other than that, just lots of silver beet as well.
Those are the things you're focusing on.
Yeah. Silver beet's the other thing that I forgot.
Lettuce?
I'm not going to be growing a lot of lettuce.
No.
I found I did that last year and we didn't eat a lot of it over winter.
It's like a salad vegetable, isn't it? So like you don't really want salad when it's cold. You want like roast veggies and like greens.
Yeah.
Like not salad, like not lettuce greens, like spinach greens.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on and just toning it down with everything else. Like last year I grew like kohlrabi and all these different types of like cauliflower and stuff like that, but not doing that this year.
Yeah, not a fan. I'm actually really looking forward to having kohlrabi in the garden this year because I tried it in your garden that first time, and then I planted it into my garden over summertime and it did okay, which was the first time that we ate it in a stir fry at home and it was delicious. So
nice.
Yeah, we'll definitely exchange some. Maybe I'll steal a cabbage from you one day and you can have some garlic and some other veggies too. But we're also planting potatoes at the moment.
So
potatoes.
do they Because I was thinking of it, but
Yeah.
do they grow well over winter?
They do for us.
Okay.
So for us, they actually do better in wintertime than they do in the summertime.
Okay.
In the summertime, they get affected by, I'm not sure what the bug is called, but it leaves like these little red seed almost looking eggs.
Okay.
And then the potato, I think it's a potato bug, will go and like eat holes in your potatoes. So
Okay.
over summertime, it doesn't work well for us, while over autumn time, like this time last year, and this is why I love having a YouTube channel, is because I get to remember exactly what I grew when and see how it went, because I have videos that I'm then able to connect to and remember better with. But we grew potatoes at the same time as garlic last year. I actually dug in my potatoes really deep into the soil, covered them up, and then planted the garlic around them.
Nice.
Which I didn't do this year. I'm just doing the potatoes in one bed and garlic in the other. But yeah, they grew amazing.
Nice.
They were
Okay.
massive. You and I actually harvested the potatoes
Oh,
from
okay,
that.
there were some of them.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, yeah, I do have some organic potatoes upstairs that I'm saving,
Put them in the ground.
I'll trial them and see how they go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing we're planting, so kohlrabi, same as you, broccoli, cabbage. I'm going to try cabbage. It's never grown for me, but hopefully I have enough beds this year for it. I'm planting lots of peas.
Oh, okay.
So peas and flowers is something that I'm planting around everything else that I'm growing. So I'll have garlic, potatoes, broccoli, carrots, and greens everywhere. And then in all the like empty little spots, I'll have like bits of flowers, just to add color and to help the pollinators. But then peas like on every trellis this year.
Yeah, nice.
And they've started to come up, so I'm really
cool.
excited.
Nice. And do you, because you more direct sow your
I
seeds,
do.
don't you?
Yeah.
Why
But
do you do that?
I mean, I do with vegetables because they are a lot larger, and a lot of the time, it's easier for me. I can go out there with the seeds that I know are in season. I'll put them straight into the ground, and then I'm checking on them on a regular basis. While I notice if I try to sow into trays, I just forget about them, or like I'll water them for a few days and then they'll just dry off, or like the chickens will get into it, or the dogs will get into it, or something goes wrong. But I am planting on with my broccoli and with my flower seeds, especially because you showed me just how small the little
very
flower
tiny.
seedlings are. And I find that all of the flowers that I've tried to direct so very lazily into my gardens, the chickens just scratch up and it just gets ruined. So yeah, I'll be putting those into seed trays whenever I get the chance to do that. I've been procrastinating it, I'll be honest. And once they're a bit bigger, I'll transplant them out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. And are you planting any spring bulbs as well?
I have already
Yeah.
planted my spring bulbs,
Nice.
actually. So I went through it just the other week, grabbed them all out. I had them stored over from last year, and most of them survived. I haven't found any that haven't. And yeah, just
Nice.
planted them all over.
Yeah, cool. What,
Yeah.
what ones have you planted?
I have a lot of irises, ranunculus, daffodils, jonquils, which now I know are the little white flowers, because you have a little pack, and got me excited because they were
Yeah.
my favorite.
Yeah, it was so nice.
I think it was really strange. So when I pulled out my bulbs, it didn't seem like I had a lot of tulips.
Okay.
I feel like I only had like 2 or 3, and I had a
Yeah.
lot more tulips in my garden last year. So whether they rotted away or I just didn't dig them up, it'll be interesting to see what comes up in
Yeah.
springtime.
Yeah, I don't usually dig. Well, I didn't actually save any from last year.
No?
Laziness, but
Well, where did they all
also,
go?
well, I pulled them out because I needed
So you
the
did save
space.
them.
But then I composted them.
Oh,
Th-
I'm
this
like,
is
where
the-
did they go?
This is the ranunculus. This is like the 100 and something that
Oh,
I had.
yes. But they didn't quite bulb up the way that you had thought they would.
No, and with flowers, like this is again something I have to make the decision of from a business point. Like, do I want to spend all of that time being fiddly with them, them taking up space in the garage to dry and then storing them, or I can just buy some more and I know I'll make the money and more off them
Yeah.
rather than saving them. So yeah, that's what I
It's a
did.
sacrifice you had to make.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's so interesting to observe it from those different perspectives of, because, you know, I grow flowers just because I'm like, oh, why not? Like, we'll just trial it out and see what happens. The bees may or may not like it, while you are doing it for a business and you are being much more thoughtful about it. So it's really interesting to compare those perspectives. I like it. Which I'm just, my eye has been caught by these pumpkins that we didn't even mention today.
Yeah, and it is racking my brain. Like, I cannot remember the variety. They're from
Little orange.
They're like something nugget, I think. They're from one of my friends'
Golden
farms. They could be golden nugget.
That sounds like
it sounds familiar.
brand.
Yeah.
Brand.
Type of pumpkin. Yeah. They're from like my friend's organic farm, and she has a lot. So I was gonna like.
I can imagine these being really beautiful in like a flower arrangement or something like.
That's what I was gonna do. So I was gonna like. If you're listening, we've got some little pumpkins in front of us as well. They're bright orange, kind of like you can fit them in your hand.
They're so cute. It's like the pumpkin of your dreams.
Yeah, they're very cute. I don't want to like cut them out, but what I'm going to do is chop the tops off and then carve them out a little bit and then stick in dried flowers and just see what that looks like.
I think I must be hungry because I thought you were going to say you're going to stuff them with something and then roast them.
Well, you can. I mean, I think they're quite delicious, but I've never tried them before. But I just see in America, and like we're not big here on autumnal like decorations and stuff like that, which I'm a little sad about because I love that kind of thing. I love feeling festive, and it's not so much about feeling festive. It's more like embracing the seasonal change and having that around you, so you're constantly like, oh, you see that and it's autumn and you feel a certain way. It's like the nostalgia that like I love in the cooler seasons, and then coming into summer it's just like crazy busy, flowers, everything. Yeah. So I don't know, I wanted to see what they looked like with dried flowers in them because I know pumpkin arrangements are super popular in the US, and see what happens here. People are going to be like, what are you doing? Stuffing these
bring it back.
pumpkins.
Like bring the traditions here to Australia as well and create them into our own. I think that would be awesome. Yeah. But I love this because it does signify that change in season. Like autumn is pumpkin season as far as I'm concerned with. So if you guys watching the YouTube video like this little table arrangement, maybe we can turn it into a thing. Like
I think
change over what's there depending on the season or how we're feeling or what's happening.
Exactly.
Maybe like a clue into what's happening or something we'll chat about at some point in the episode.
Exactly. We'll make it fun for you, and for everyone listening, we'll describe it as well.
As best as we can if we remember.
True. Yeah.
You could even like carve them as you said and have like a little tea light candle in there.
Yeah, that's another good idea.
Cute.
Yeah.
Poke some, like drill some holes around it.
Yeah. Do pumpkin carving.
My pumpkins are growing at the moment actually in the garden, and there's a few really strange ones that I'm kind of looking at them being like, are you a zucchini, a pumpkin, a Kent pumpkin, a watermelon? Are you a cross of all those things? Like, what are you?
You saw last time when you came, I had those funky pumpkins. So we harvested them and they are something. Like, they are just massive. Yeah. They're like a butternut, but the colours of a Kent pumpkin. I think it's Kent.
Green? Or orange, like
orangey green. Yeah. The kind of stripy ones. It looks really weird. But we're going to have pumpkin soup for a long time, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah, I bet you would be.
Yeah.
You could also make pumpkin gnocchi.
Nice.
That's been something I've been wanting to trial out. Or like ravioli as well.
Yeah, yum.
You know what? Actually, next time that we're recording the podcast down my way, let's make pasta.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah, because every time I make it by myself, I'm sorry, I'm going well on a tangent.
I think we're hungry. We're going to go out to dinner after this.
I've been giggling the whole time. I've been talking about food the whole time. There's something going on, but sorry, but this is what's been happening. I've been trying to make pasta, and making it by yourself is really tedious, but making it with someone else is really fun, and we can make use of the pumpkins.
Yeah, we have lots of sage in the garden as well. Sage and pumpkin and pasta. It's just perfect.
Which I had sage, which I cooked a pasta dish for us, I think, last time, and I used my sage, but it was white sage.
Okay.
And the flavour was weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can remember that or if you're being polite. It was very nice.
I found it nice. Okay. I don't think it was the sage so much, maybe some other spices, but
No, I only
I think it
put
was
sage
fine.
into it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was white sage, which I think you're supposed to actually burn.
Oh, okay.
As like
so
it's like to purify the
to
room.
cleanse it. So were we
We
supposed to eat?
cleansed ourselves. I don't know.
Oh well,
I'm experimenting.
we're fine from it.
It goes right back to, we loop back to the start of this episode where we make mistakes. We try
Exactly.
things out and that's okay.
Yeah. Another thing that I did want to touch on before we ended this episode was just that now is a really great time to plant some native plants in the garden. So I've been planting a lot of, like down the very back of our property, we have just this area and it's kind of like there's a few larger trees around. So there's like trees that just drop their branches and things like that. And I just wanted to create like a little bit of a biodiversity haven down there. So I have all of these native plants that I want to just fill, like ideally it's going to be like a fairy woodland forest
I love it.
in like 20 years, which I don't know if I'll be able to see it by then, but
Oh, you might.
you know, I don't know whether we'll still be around this area, but I want to plant them and I have like a little bit of a plan, and I've been planting things that are all or majority native to this area. And I find that they're actually doing really well, and it's a great time to plant because the plants are not going to undergo that shock that they would when they have that really harsh sun. So a lot of the rainforest plants, if you have any kind of plants that like rainforest or like just a little bit more damp environments, now's a really great time to plant them. And you want to do that now because the plants can still grow their roots and have good growth before it does get really, really cold.
Yeah. And I think you've mentioned in the past as well that growing it over winter time, because the grass pressure is a lot lower, your young plants aren't competing with all the other plants that could be around them.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to, my favourite ones are the bleeding heart trees. They're just absolutely beautiful. And if you're on the south coast of New South Wales, all the way up pretty much to like north of Sydney, they grow really well around this area.
What
and
a
they
devastating name.
I know, but I'm trying to think why they're called that, but I think it's just because the new growth and some of the growth, it grows like a reddish colour. So, but it's absolutely beautiful. They produce such like a dappled light with their canopy. So that's kind of the vibe that I'm going for. And some other native plants, like I did plant a Davidson plum I planted it a few months ago when I shouldn't have. I really should have planted it now so that it could just get established and not have to like compete with the sun. You just want to plant your plants when they're not going to be stressed. But yeah, there's so many different beautiful plants. Like I've planted like a big coda tree, which is a local deciduous tree. We actually do have some deciduous plants in Australia that are native. They don't always fully drop their leaves, but it can be kind of more a seasonal thing. They don't go the full like colours is what I mean. And then I'm just trying to plant other ones like acacias that I know grow really well. It's really great to have those pioneer plants in this area, and they're great to plant now. Like if you have lots of acacias around or kangaroo apple.
I would love to get my hands on that. That would be good.
If I ever have some seeds, I'll definitely pass them along. But there's just so many great natives to plant like now. All your grevilleas, bottlebrush, like you can get them in the ground now. And that is if you don't already have threat of frost if you're in like really cold areas.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to, I'll be honest, I've kind of neglected my native food forest because it's right at the back of the property, and our attention has been on so many other things, including building the bus and all the things.
We didn't even touch on.
That's right.
We'll do another episode on that.
Yeah, that's it. That's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to, now that it's cooling down, like getting down there and really giving it some love, seeing what has kind of thrived with neglect and what hasn't, and just giving it a tidy up. So looking forward to building it out more, trying to plant some more ground covers down there, which I've had ground cover seeds like creeping saltbush and a few others like warrigal greens.
Nice.
So I've had those just like sitting waiting to be planted into the ground. And so I think I just please please encourage me.
There's a lot
listeners.
going on. It's totally fine. So if you're also feeling overwhelmed, like it's completely normal, and we're feeling a little bit like that as well.
Yeah.
But just take it easy, one thing at a time, just like put it down to manageable tasks. Like if you only have 20 minutes, you only have 20 minutes, but that's 20 minutes that you've got in the garden and you've actually done something. So just be proud of that.
Maybe like even take a photo or document it in some way so that when it comes to the end of the week and you're exhausted and sitting on the couch doing nothing, like I have been finding myself a lot of the time, just be like, oh yeah, actually I did do those things and I did check off those to-do list items and I haven't done nothing. Yeah. Like, because I planted a lot this week. I forget.
Well, yeah, it's easy to do that when sometimes it's just yourself in the garden as well.
Yeah.
When there's no people around to chat to about it, it does feel overwhelming and the time does go slow.
Yeah, it does. But that's okay. We push on. I'm still excited for autumn time and the cool weather, having fires again soon and cool crops. Oh, I can't wait till the broccoli comes up and the carrots start being pulled up and the onions and the garlic and all the things. So yeah, it's going to be a fun season.
Yeah, definitely. So we'd love to hear what you're planting right now. And like, I feel like we do chat a little bit about this in most episodes, like what we're planting and what to grow and things like that. Because we're always
planting.
Because we are, yeah. And a lot of it does span over like weeks or months. There's not just one time in the year or one day or week when you should be planting something where, when we say we're planting broccoli, that means like for the next 2 months, we'll be planting broccoli. So don't feel like you need to go out and do that right now.
Yeah.
Just have like a list of seeds. That's what I always do. I always have a box. So just grab some seeds, whatever you can manage, and just plant some in the ground. Like you just don't have to make it too overwhelming or sow like all of the seeds in the box at one time.
Yeah, this isn't summer.
Exactly.
It's not get it in as quick as you can so that it doesn't run out of time. Like these crops do take a lot longer to do their thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And some of them actually do better in the cool weather. Like as soon as it really cools down and it's winter time, like your lettuce and your brassicas are just going to thrive because they're not being burnt by the sun. They're not having soil dried out around them quite as quickly as summer. And
the cabbage moth.
The cabbage moth.
I know. If you're still in like the subtropics and warm areas, you might want to net your seedlings.
That's what I'm going to have to do. But I remember netting them last time. I ended up like enclosing the cabbage moths in there and they propagated? No, they just multiplied. It works the same way, right?
Don't trap them in there, but don't worry if you do anyway. Mistakes are made.
That's right.
I'm looking
we love
forward
mistakes.
to that mistakes episode.
I know it's going to be
have
full.
so much to chat about.
It's probably going to have to be like a 10-hour episode.
Probably.
We'll start in the morning, finish at night.
Exactly.
All right. And with that, if you didn't know, we do have a Instagram page under the same name, Earthly Roots, where we post behind the scenes. We've had a few technical difficulties, so I've found it hard posting it there, but we do have like photos that we take and we start conversations with you guys. So if ever you have a question or you want a topic explored, like that is the place to find us, because we're there almost every day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'd love to hear if you've got any ideas for topics. Like we do have like a running list, but our goal is to chat about things that are relevant and relatable. So let us know. Yeah.
And I've also loved seeing we have so many 5-star reviews from you guys, our listeners, on Spotify and also on Apple Podcasts. So thank you so much to those that have taken the time to do that. It really does mean a lot, and it helps to push out the podcast to more people, grow the community, get more people involved in the conversations, which just benefits all of us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're very new to podcasting and like how to share it out there, because with YouTube, there's like a YouTube algorithm, but I have no idea like who listens to these podcasts and how to get it out there. But we would love to share more of like a Southern Hemisphere view of what's going on in the gardens right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, we also have a Buy Me a Coffee page if you would like to support us financially. It's just a few dollars and helps us pay for the cups of tea that we go through
Yes.
to have the energy to do these podcasts.
I was going to say, we may or may not have a video up there soon of all of the outtakes just from this episode.
Yeah, it's a bit much. This was a bit of a
giggly kind of episode.
Yeah, I think we're also just a bit hungry as well. And we got very sidetracked every time we were talking about growing food and recipes.
And pumpkins.
So, yeah.
So that will be a fun one to listen to. Whether we put it up or not,
we'll do something like
you'll
that.
have to check it out to find out.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for listening and watching to this episode.
Yes, and we'll see you, or you'll hear from us again soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.